All right, guys, this is part two of the previous video that I did where I talked about crypto wallets, the hard reality, hard truth, the hard fact that nobody wants to talk about. So I kind of blitzed through it as usual, and I missed a few bits and bobs. So a lot of community members, two in fact, Bobby mentioned something about government and KYC and XYZ, so we'll talk about that. And Ruben mentioned something about seed phrases. So I just want to clarify myself on what I was saying, right? So number one, let's go to, I'm going to start with Ruben, right? So Ruben mentioned something about seed phrases. Yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, in the video, if you listen carefully, I mentioned your seed phrases are a decryption. So you encrypt and decrypt, right? So it's the only way that you don't have to, because the thing is, look, put it this way, your public address, right? So let's talk about it this way. You have your public keys and your private keys, right? Your public keys, anybody will access and anybody can see, you know, copy, paste, do whatever with your public address. Now, your public address doesn't make anything. I mean, you can't upload that to another wallet and then all of a sudden start transacting. You can't, because that's why it's public, right? Your private wallet address is a different one. So your private wallet address, most people don't use that. We don't use our private addresses. We don't send and receive using that. So half the people, in fact, 99.9% or non-technical, in fact, right? Or, you know, you say advanced technical, don't even know what their private keys are. Right, so understand this. So the only way you back up your private keys, you encrypt them or decrypt them, is with your seed phrase. Now, seed phrase could be anything from 12, 24 to 48. It could be anything. It could be your pet's name, your dog's name, your uncle's name. It doesn't matter. You could even use their randomized seed phrases as well. So it's entirely up to you how you do it. If you're very, very technical, you can create your own ones. You can have, you know, 2-letter words or 1-letter words or whatever to make it really complicated. So whatever the case is, you'll remember one thing, your seed phrase is only unlocking your private keys. Okay, so that's what it is. Your private keys will never touch the public domain. So that's how it's basically kept decentralized and kept secure. You know, anyone who has your private keys can access it anytime. So that's, think about it like this. So seed phrase is your encryption decryption. I have mentioned it on the previous video, but I think I just blitzed through it. I didn't really explain it in detail. So that's what that is, right? I hope that makes sense. You know, you could choose whatever you want. Depends on your technical difficulty level. You can create your own, or you can get the randomized generated one. Whatever the case is, you need to back them up on a piece of paper, and you can create them later on. So they don't have to be the exact same one. In fact, if you're logged into your wallet and you've just generated one, you can refresh those seed words, right? You don't need to have those specific seed words that they give to you. So that way you can decentralize yourself even more by choosing your own seed phrases. Again, as I said, depending on your technicality level, basically, nothing more. So that's that. But one fact is that, remember, your wallet must be created on the blockchain. If it's not created on the blockchain, it's not a valid wallet. The blockchain doesn't recognize it. The blockchain will have to account for that. So you get put onto the ledger and the block will confirm that that is your wallet, regardless whether you have 1 balance or 0 balance, doesn't matter. Any wallet that is created has to be created on chain, on their specific chain. You know, you can't take one wallet and put it onto another chain. No. It's got to be a specific chain. So that's that. Now, talking about governments and regulations, what Bobby mentioned. So Bobby mentioned that, you know, if you don't opt into it, you know, or something like this, like something about government and KYC. Put it this way, anything that is centralized, right? They're already doing a few things. Number one, when they're sending you, when you're buying these hardware wallets, a lot of these companies are saving your profile details, like not profile, but they're making one for you, which means they know who you are. They know where they sent it. They know what platform you bought it from. So those are data they're already collecting. Now, some of them, even when you activate them, ask you for extra security by saying, oh, can you give your email as a backup in XYZ, or some sort of a customer service thing is involved. So they're collecting more data on you. So that all is already being collected. Now, if for whatever reason, for you to transact, there is a requirement for KYC. For example, you want to buy fiat or sell into fiat, whatever, and a lot of these companies do allow that. immediately they're collecting KYC. Anything to do with money is KYC, right? So when it comes to fiat interactions, if the company itself is doing fiat interactions in the background, you don't have to necessarily do it, but they are doing it. They have to collect the KYC. So you can find something that doesn't require that. And that's where, like I always, I've been mentioning on the last video as well, I'm going to mention it here as well. Just find something that is decentralized, open source, and that's not connected to any central party, central company, and use that. That way, at least you are completely decentralized, or 99.99%, as I mentioned before as well. Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm not sure if I mentioned this right. Anyway, I'm going to mention this now. So if the government really wants to take your crypto, or the government wants to seize your funds for whatever nefarious reasons, right? First of all, they shouldn't come after you if you haven't done anything wrong. Okay, and I'm not defending anybody, I'm not saying anything to anybody. All I'm trying to say is, if you haven't done anything wrong, why would the government come after you? Why would the government seize your crypto? Unless you've done something bad, then of course they're going to come after you. And now, if they're going to come after you, there is no 100% decentralized way of you protecting yourself. All right, one form or another, they will catch you. Where there's a will, there's a way. If they really want to take your crypto, they can. And history stands as witness, because you can see how much crypto the government has. Now, some of them has been handed over to them for whatever reasons, like the people gave their keys and XYZ after they've been prosecuted or whatnot. And others, the CIA just basically took it. Also, you're forgetting that we have white hat hackers who are good people. And if you have lost your seed phrase or your private keys or whatever, and you can prove who you are, and you go to one of them, there are services, right? If you go to them, they will happily recover your crypto for you for a fee. That's a service that actually exists. Now, what says one of them didn't turn all of a sudden into a bad guy, and now they're deciding to hack into anybody? But remember, to hack into someone's account, or where there's a will, there's a way, right? They need to have some form of accessibility, not to the private. The private key is nothing. Your private address is absolutely nothing. To your, not public. Public is nothing. Public is for everybody. Your private keys or your seed phrases, one or the other, or the actual device itself. So if you've got a hardware device, they need access to your device. If you've got it stored on your phone, they need access to your phone. Then they could recover that. So what I'm trying to say is, if the government really want to take something off you for absolutely no good reason, and if they choose to, they can, so do understand this. I mean, but majority of the people, 99% of the people, probably even more, have nothing to worry about, have absolutely nothing to worry about, because I don't think they're doing anything wrong. Of course, KYC and all of that. Listen, if I'm on centralized exchanges, as much as I love decentralized, I'm still on centralized exchanges. But I buy certain things and do certain things. There are KYC involved. Why? Because end of the day, just having crypto doesn't solve all our problems, right? One of the problem is I've got crypto, but I need to spend. I can't spend crypto. Nobody's going to accept my crypto. So for me to spend the crypto, I need to stick it into a debit card. Now, in order to get that debit card, I had to do some KYC. They sent it to my address. That's how I'm spending my crypto. So there are always going to be one form or another. There's going to be some sort of a connection where, the government is going to require KYC, and it's not about just seizing your crypto, because again, if you haven't done anything wrong, why would they seize your crypto? So I hope this kind of makes sense. Again, I'm just blitzing through. I've got plenty of other stuff to do. But I hope this kind of makes sense. Like, look, where there's a will, there's a way. If somebody really wants to, they can. The only thing they can't do right now, I mean, they could have back in the days, right? If the government actually ever wanted to take down Bitcoin, back in the days when Bitcoin originally launched, if the government decided to not laugh at Bitcoin or call it monopoly money or internet magic money or whatever, and actually take it down, they could have. They would have used a lot less resources back then. But now, Bitcoin is so big, the network has grown so much, we're so decentralized, they don't have enough money in the world to take it down. So that's a good thing, right? But as I said, it's not just about not your keys and this and that. Sometimes even the physical device itself can be vulnerable. So vulnerabilities are what we should say. We shouldn't be talking about, whether the government's going to seize your money, whether KYC, FX, XYZ. None of this really matters, actually. Ultimately, what matters is where the vulnerabilities are, right? have you left some vulnerabilities there? Is there a device that could be accessible? That's the problem. You know, KYC, fine. If I've got 2 wallets and if I'm sending a small amount, and which I do, by the way, so if I'm sending a small amount to my spending account, then they can only access the spending amount. The KYC can only see the spending amount. The other amount, no one can see. You know, yeah, they may be able to track it by saying, okay, this is the public address. We can see where this money came from. But as long as the money came from a legit place, a legit source, you know, that hasn't done anything, it's not blacklisted, what's there to worry about? So I hope this kind of makes sense. And Ruben, I hope that makes sense to you as well. That, you know, one thing that we cannot deny, everything else can be done later on, right? Offline, we can do so many different things, including creating seed phrases, but the wallet itself has to be created on the blockchain. There is no ifs and buts about that. I hope this kind of makes sense. But other than that, like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on another one very soon. And yeah, I mean, if you've got any other questions, whatever, fire away. And what I'll do is I'll start making these little short clips, like 5-10 minutes long, and just drop the answers here for you. And I think that way we can continue with YouTube, because I've been really bored. I just didn't have any subjects to talk about, and I'm not into the thing like when everyone starts talking about hype, like people start jumping on it. Oh, this happened, that happened. I'm not into this. Come on, you guys should know this, right? I'm a realist. You know, I just see things for as they are, and I accept things for as they are. You know, there are some things we can change, some things we can't do. We can choose to do certain things, we can choose to do other things. And I choose not to fall into that same kind of shape-shifting chameleon nonsense that other YouTubers do, because every 2 minutes they change their minds. I can't do that. You know very well, if I've said something, if I've mentioned something, then I'll stick to it, right? And it doesn't matter how long it takes, I'll just stick to my guns. So, if you got any questions, fire it away. Discord, here, wherever, comments, and I'll try and answer it in a short form. I think that's I'm more comfortable doing this like this, right? What I'm doing right now. I'm a lot more comfortable doing this. 5 minutes doesn't do any harm. I can do that. So I'm gonna catch you on another one very soon. Other than that, guys, like, share, subscribe. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and comment, right? Comment, always comment. So I'll see you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.